Sir, should I start, sir?
Just wait.
Okay, sir.
The guest is joining.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Bhavna ji?
Yes, sir.
Sonia Dubey has joined. We can start now.
Okay.
Sonia ji, should we start?
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Am I now audible and visible to all of you?
Yes, yes. Should we start now?
Great. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Please, Bhavna, please start.
Okay. A very good afternoon to one and all, esteemed speaker, faculty members, students, and all the participants of Friday Dialogue. Ma'am, just to let you know that we have a total of 580 students from across all our campuses, including New Delhi, Aizawl, Amravati, Dhenkanal, and Kottayam. Most of them are joining from their individual classrooms. So you won't be able to see the number 580 on your computer screen. First of all, I would like to let you in on about Friday Dialogue a little bit. At the outset, I want to say that this lecture series is an intellectual initiative propagated by our Director General Sanjay Dwivedi sir, wherein we invite guest speakers to deliberate on various issues and topics pertinent to the ever-evolving landscape of media in India and abroad. As an academic institution, IMC has always been at the forefront when it comes to adopting new technologies and has always adopted a result-oriented approach towards learning and pedagogy. Today, the stage is set for an insightful discussion on the art and craft of image making in contemporary times. This lecture is aimed at helping the participants gain insights into the nuances of perception management and conduct oneself in a public setting. In the current social age, the importance of image making cannot be overstated. With the proliferation of social media platforms, public figures, organizations, and individuals are all under constant scrutiny. The ability to manage one's image and craft a favorable perception can make the difference between success and failure in both personal and professional settings. This lecture will cover various aspects of image making, including the role of social media, personal branding, and reputation management. The speaker, a well-known personality in this field, Rachna ma'am will introduce her in a while, will emphasize the need for individuals and organizations to be authentic and transparent in their communication, while also being mindful of how their actions and words are perceived by the public. There are ethical considerations of image making, emphasizing the need for truthfulness and accountability in all sphere of communication. There are potential pitfalls of using deceptive tactics or misrepresenting oneself, which can lead to severe reputational damage. Overall, the participants will be provided with a valuable perspective on the art and craft of image making in contemporary times by emphasizing the importance of authenticity, transparency, and ethical consideration. One has to draw an authentic roadmap to successfully manage their image in the dynamic social age that we are in. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. Rachna Sharma ma'am, Course Director, Digital Media, IMC New Delhi, to welcome our speaker, Ms. Sonia Dubey Diwan.
Thank you so much, Bhavna ji. A very warm good afternoon to all. I think when we talk about public image building, we know one thing, and Bhavna ji also mentioned the same thing. Today in social media scenario, we know that some images come up, but as soon at the pace they come up, they go with the same pace. So one thing that is more important is sustainability of that imagery. So how to make public image sustainable. So in that case, I think public image is not an achievement, rather it's a process. and it involves a complete value system. And it is true to journalism, it is true to ad and PR, brands, and whatever field we talk about. So we know that a complete value system with credibility, accountability is needed to sustain that imagery. And somewhere it is more important today, and I think governments are also looking towards that thing too. And that is why when we talk about new education policy, we know that how much importance, how much emphasis has been given to the value system to be inculcated in the citizens, to build our citizens. So I think we look forward in Ms. Sonia Dubey's address today to achieve those value system through her address. And on behalf of entire IIMC, I welcome Ms. Sonia Dubey Diwan, AICI certified image professional. And when it comes to self-reliant future leaders, we know that she is, again, I would say a credible name from whom we can learn things. So welcome in this session.
Thank you
Over
so
to
much,
you,
Rachna ma'am. Thank you so much. Now I would like to let in our students into a brief profile of Sonia ma'am before setting the stage for ma'am and giving her the platform to deliberate. Sonia Dubey Diwan is the founder of the Indian School of Image Management, an entrepreneur, educator, global IE awardee, international keynote speaker, and India's first AICI certified image professional. Dubbed the fairy godmother of transformation by a leading news publication, Sonia has worked with C-suite executives, entrepreneurs, startup founders, and politicians. The global brand strategist has been instrumental in the launch and revamps of a few of India's top personal brands featured in Forbes and Time magazine. She has over 14 years of experience in personal branding, image management, executive coaching and training, market research, and consumer behavior with 15,000 plus training hours, 450 plus one-on-one clients, and over 2 lakh plus training participants trained to date. As a prominent industry leader in Asia, she has represented India on multiple global fronts. Sonia is the first elected Indian to serve AICI Global Board as General Secretary. She is the only founding member from India of the OMP World Forum of Protocol, Image and Communication, founded in 2020, with founding members from over 50 plus countries. At home, she serves as the founding national president of the WICCI Image Consulting Council, leading state presidents of 15 states of India. She is the founding president of the AICI India Mumbai chapter and the only Indian to serve as president of the AICI India Delhi and AICI India Mumbai chapters. Her vision is to contribute towards more self-reliant future leaders by making education more holistic, by balancing the focus on hard and soft skills. Driven by that passion, she founded the Indian School of Image Management, India's first AICI CEU provider, and has trained over 250 plus image consultants worldwide. She is the first Indian to create and launch internationally accredited programs to provide international education in this domain, which is affordable and accessible. Welcome, ma'am. Now the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Bhavna, for such a wonderful introduction. And also setting the stage means the context that you have set, you and also Professor Rachna, describing the context of today's session. That was really, really beautiful. And I believe that now the students are very much aware that what they would be getting in this particular session. And I would also like to thank Professor Pramod. We have been coordinating for a very long time and for making this happen. So I'm really grateful. And of course, Professor Sanjay Dwivedi ji for giving me this opportunity. And good afternoon, all the students and all the professors who have joined us from different centers of IIMC. And I'm really honored to be here along with all of you. Now, the way that I conduct my session, I like it to be very interactive. I can see you on the screen. So obviously you cannot write the answers in the chat, but maybe you can raise hands so we can get a little bit of an introduction or a little bit of inputs from you when you're working towards it. And I will also kind of encourage all members who are here, the professors and the faculties, to give their inputs and answers by unmuting themselves when we have a certain questions, and it can be more of a dialogue as the context of this particular session is. All right, so let's get started, and allow me to just share my screen because I have a presentation for all of you, so you would be able to understand and will be able to take notes. Feel free to unmute yourself, as I said, at any point of time. Ask me questions when we are doing quizzes. Interact. The more you interact, the better you will learn. So I'll be more than happy to answer your queries. All right. The major questions we'll take towards the end. In between the quizzes, you can definitely unmute yourself and answer. All right. So just give me a moment. I would share my screen. Okay. For some reason, it is not allowing me to share a screen. Let's see. Okay, now it is. Can you see my screen now, all of you?
No, ma'am.
It's not visible. Okay, just give me a moment.
Praveen?
All right.
प्रवीण आपने परमिट किया हुआ ना?
Yes, sir. Hello.
स्पीकर को परमिट किया हुआ ना?
Yes, sir. Sir, already permitted. Yes.
I'm having certain issues in actually sharing the screen. Can I just email this to someone?
Yes. You can WhatsApp me.
WhatsApp.
Please WhatsApp me. We will share.
I will do it right away.
Yeah.
All right. Give me a moment. Thank you.
प्रवीण मैं आपको भेज रहा हूँ.
Okay, sir.
I have shared it with you, Professor Pramod, so you must have got it on your WhatsApp.
Yes, I have received. Praveen,
Okay.
I am sharing.
Okay, sir.
भेज दिया आपको.
Okay, sir.
Right, if it's taking time, let's can we have a little dialogue maybe during that time period with the students and can begin, if that's all right.
Take a 1 minute only.
Then it's all right. Okay. But I know there is a couple of slides on goal setting, that what are we going to learn today. So of course, for all the students, I'll just get started. We are learning today the art and craft of devising or creating a public image. And what does it take to create a public image? So today we'll be trying to achieve 3 goals. Goal number 1 is to basically understand what is a public image. But before we actually get into the crafting of the public image, we need to also understand what are the factors that contribute to it. Because it's not just the formula, all right? It's also, there are a lot of factors which are around it that goes into creating of a person. And then finally, we will be talking about what is the actual art. How do you put in all the ingredients together to ensure that everything is working and a public image of a person, a leader, is created? Okay, so Praveenji, if you can go on, change the slide and go on slide number 3, I believe. Yes, so we talked about today's goal. What is public image? What are the factors? And what is the craft of public image? Now, I want to understand from all of you that when you hear the word, because you are all in mass communication, studying PR, mass communication, this is a subject you already know a lot about. So what, according to you, is a public image? What do you understand with the word public image? If anyone wants to write down their answers in the chat or unmute any student, what do you understand by public image? You can raise your hand. I can see a few of you in the classroom also. So if any of you want to raise your hand and answer, feel free to do so. Okay.
I think Sonia ji, students are not able to raise their hands as they are sitting in the classroom through smart board.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's go further with it, and towards the end we can take questions. So next slide, please. So if you take the dictionary of it, or dictionary definition of public image, it's very simple. It says it is the opinion that many people have of a person. And I have put this image on purpose over here because if we talk about it of a public image or a public brand or a personal brand, love it, hate it, but you can't ignore it. Means one of the most strongest personal brands that we have seen in the current days, in the current era. But then again, public image is the opinion that people may have of a person. This very small and short statement does not do justice to understanding what exactly is public image, because there's so many different facets of it. So before we get into the public image part of it, let's first understand what is image. Okay, next slide, please. So we are going to understand what is image. And because you can't obviously answer and unmute and write down your answers, what you can do is all the people who are online and have the access to chat box can give their answers in the chat box. So I would request all of you, I can see 34 participants. So at least out of 34 participants, a few of you can write down your answer for the next quiz that I'm going to show you. what is your answer in the chat box? Okay. So what is image? When we talk about the word image, a lot of word comes in our mind. Image could be, very simple word, a picture, a graphic, something that you take a picture of, or that's an image. But then if you talk about the psychological side of it, an image is also something which is basically the perception, how people perceive you. Okay. So very quick exercise for you to dive deeper into understanding what image is. You have an exercise on the next slide, and all you need to do is, there are two images on the slide. There is one image on the left and one image on the right. What you need to do is you have to pick one of the images. You can write down the answer left or right in the chat box. Okay. So Praveenji, if you can change the slide and let everyone see. Okay. So there are two pencils on your screen. All of you can actually enlarge this presentation if you would like to. There are two pencils on the screen, pencil 1 and pencil 2. All the people who have access to the chat box, if you can quickly look at the two pencils and pick one pencil, give your answer, pencil 1 or pencil. And all the students who are in the classroom, if anyone would like to take initiative to be a representative of that particular classroom, would like to write down the answer as a group consensus, that which pencil would you choose? Write down your answer in the chat. Do you choose pencil 1 or you pick pencil 2? So I'm seeing a few answers coming up. Pencil 1, we have got a lot of pencils. A lot of people were picking pencil 1, the left or right. We got one answer as right. Okay, continue sending. All right, pencil 2, wonderful. So 2 classrooms have picked pencil 2, and 4 individuals have picked pencil 1. All right, continue sending if you would like to share more. Anyone else? Again, pencil 1, wonderful. Now all the people who picked a pencil 1 or pencil 2, okay, let the answers keep coming in. Great. Jitendra Swati, pencil 1. Looks like a lot of votes have been won by pencil 1. And pencil 2 has only 2 votes right now. So if anyone else likes pencil 2, please go ahead and write down your answer. All right. Now, if you've written whichever pencil you have picked, I want in one singular word, what was the reason that you picked the pencil? Either pencil 1 or pencil 2. One word. Don't have to give a very long explanation, just 1 or 2 words, that what you liked in pencil 1 or pencil 2 that you picked it. What is your reason? So you can write it in the chat that what was your reason to pick the pencil that you have. Okay, so I've got one answer, better quality, and did by Digital Media Department, and Digital Media Department has picked pencil 1, I believe, right? Is that correct? No, yes, pencil 1. Okay. And all the pencil 1s are saying better quality, better image, clean, sharpness of the image, sharp and clean. All right. And 2 people who picked pencil 2. What was your reason? We're getting a lot of answer. Pencil 1 looks new, absolutely crispy as well. Wonderful. All right. Sharpness of the image came into picture. Wonderful. What about the answers from the 2 people? Pencil on the right, the pencil 2. What was your reason to pick the pencil? One word or a couple of words. Genuine. It looked genuine. Interesting. Okay. All right. I like that answer. And the other person, which somebody else also, I think IMC Smart Class also picked pencil 2. So Digital Media Department says it's genuine. And with pencil 1, keep replying. Means whatever is your reason to pick pencil 1, you can keep sending in your answers. Let's see what is the answer for others who chose pencil 2. Okay, I think I've got genuine as the answer only. So it looks genuine. Interesting. Now, what I want you to do is to pay a very close attention to all the answers. You all have access to the chat box. If not, I will answer and read it out for you. People who picked pencil 1 picked it for better quality, better image, cleanness, sharpness of the image, sharp and clean. It looks crispy. It looks brand new. And that was the reason. It looks nice. Okay. People who picked pencil 2, I got only one answer. The other team did not answer. But the one answer that I've got for pencil 2, that it looks genuine. Okay. Now let's keep the answers. I'm not going into the fact of why you picked and which pencil was supposed to be. That's not the point over here. What I need actually from you is more to basically answer and think about what is the purpose of a pencil. If anyone can tell me, and we all know this, what is the purpose of the pencil? Anyone can tell me. It's a very simple purpose, to write. Absolutely, yes, to write. I've got another answer for pencil 2, seems more reliable. It has gone through wear and tear. Wonderful. I see digital media classroom being very active. Thank you for the person who's taking lead. One has rubber. Okay. Great. We're still receiving answers for picking the pencil, but let's move on to the next part, that what is the actual purpose of the pencil? And we have got one answer, that the actual purpose of the pencil is to write. Correct? Means you actually use it to write, maybe to sketch, to doodle, and just to create something on a piece of paper. You use the pencil to design, create, write something. That's the actual purpose of it. Now, my second question, or the next series of questions to all of you is, look closely, okay? Look closely at both the pencils and tell me, can both the pencils write or not? Yes or no? Are both the pencils capable of writing? Yes or no? Getting all the answers as a definite yes and a resounding yes from all the people who picked either pencil 1 or pencil 2. Okay, but so if we talk about the purpose of the pencil, what I'm coming to now, great. Thank you so much for a lovely interaction from all of you. 2 sometimes, that's absolutely yes. But yes, the purpose of the pencil can be fulfilled by both the pencils equally. Right? Maybe there would be a little bit of a difference of plus and minus, rubber, this, that, etc. But the purpose can be fulfilled by both the pencil, which is to write. But when I asked you to pencil, you picked pencil 1 or you picked pencil 2, and the reasons that you picked up the pencil was on the basis of what you relate with. And your relatability was, it's new, right? It is something that is crispy. It's something that is clean. It is something that you like to see into something, and on the basis of that relatability, you are picking a pencil. Similarly, people who picked pencil 2, I got very interesting answer. It looks genuine. It looks like if it has gone, it's reliable. It has gone through so much of wear and tear. Again, the way that you're perceiving your relatability. But the fact of the matter is that both the pencils are something that can be used for writing purpose. But when it comes to picking, when you have to pick or make a decision between 2 things, you make your decision on the basis of what you relate with. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to your relatability. You are not really looking at the sharpness of the pencil or the lead of the pencil, which is going to fulfill the purpose, which is to write. Okay. And why does this happen? This is a very simple experiment that we just did. This is a very simple example of human behavior. A very, very genuine, simple example of human behavior. This represents that how much ever we say that we do not really, judge the book by its cover, we do that. Why? Because when it comes to picking something, there is no way that you can actually take something, or even when it comes to people. This is a genuine example of something when it, not even for pencil. It can translate into you picking your partner, you picking your bosses or your employers picking employees. It can also be the business partners that you're looking for. It can also be the way that you look up at your leader, the public figures that we are talking about today. You pick your public figures on the basis of the relatability that you have with the person, not on the basis of what value they provide. Because there's no way you can come to know the value until and unless they actually start doing something, or you use the pencil to start writing. Okay, so the context is that we are trying to understand. The theory of image says that, can we have the next slide, please, Praveenji? That we are programmed to judge. It is something you can say these very nice that yes, we don't judge, you should not judge the book by its cover, but we are programmed to judge. And why we are programmed to judge is because of a very important, very important, one of the 5 senses that we have is also our visual. Next slide, please. We judge everything by its cover. Praveenji, next slide, please. We judge everything by its cover because our eyes are continuously capturing stimulus from the environment they're in. When you're looking at a person, the colors, the shape, the building, the person, the way that they walk, the way they talk, the way they communicate, where they are seen, with what people they are seen, which person they are hugging and which person they are giving an angry face or maybe ignoring, all of these things are stimulus that you are always receiving and collecting. So visuals, your eye is one of the most important part of data collection. And your eye is something that sends the data to your mind, which correlates back to all the pre-recorded and preconceived notion that you already have since childhood and since your upbringing. Okay, so since your upbringing, what is happening? It starts right from, the conditioning starts right from the childhood. Our parents say, beta, don't go and play with that family, that kid from that family, they are not good people. Why? Nobody knows, but just it's been said. And you are told to avoid a particular family or not go in a particular neighborhood or avoid a certain person altogether or eat food with only these kind of people or go to a certain school which has a certain status. Then you read books. Okay, you read books, you read characters. In a book, there is always a protagonist. And a protagonist is shown in a particular aura, like a person who's really successful. There's a whole scripting and a storyline of that particular person, which has been established first that this is the protagonist and this person is successful. And there's all the hints that are given to show that why this person is successful. So what you are doing, you are reading, you are watching it, you're watching it in movies, you're watching it in media. You all are studying for PR, media, news channels. Videos, movies are one of the biggest ways to show that this is a successful person, this is a not so successful person. This information is constantly fed in your mind, and the biggest receptor of this is your eye, which is constantly capturing images, which is going back into your mind and always correlating it with the preconceived notions, databases, and collecting it with it and comparing, is this new person that I've met is successful as per the data that I already have? Tick, 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 tick. Then yes, it is successful. If 5 things does not tick mark or match with the successful criteria, then the person is not so successful. So your eye is a very big stimulus, and this big stimulus contributes so much into the way that you perceive, into the way that you think, and the way you believe or make your choices. This is why, next slide, please. This is why you will see that all the people who are really wise, and when they have to meditate and think about something, the first thing that we do and tell everyone is to close our eyes. Why? Because you're removing a very big sense stimulus, which is your visuals that is around you, to just remove those barriers to look internally. So your eyes are a very big sensory organ that captures a lot of data and sends it to your brain, which programs you to judge people by its cover. So you don't see actually what is the purpose. You actually see, how do I relate with this thing, with this person, with this house, with this locality, with this building, and so on and everything, and even including your. So if we take that into totality to summarize what we are talking about, the stereotyping that we have, the conditioning that we have, we are taught since childhood, we are taught that if you look at, next slide, please, Praveenji. If you look at this, you know A stands for apple, and next slide, please, Praveenji. And when you look at this slide, you know that A over here stands for Amir, because everything in this picture shows something where there's a private jet, there's a big car, there are a lot of fancy bags, security guard, and it shows that yes, A stands for Amir. How? Because the Visuals are contributing to the preset data that you have in your mind. So when you look at it in totality, what we are trying to come to, going back to the example of the pencil, I talked about the conditioning part because you picked the pencil on the basis of your relatability. Going back to the pencil, next slide, please, Praveenji. Praveenji, next slide, please. Yes. So if we look at the pencil, I said that the purpose of the pencil is to write, correct? So the writing part of the pencil is done by the lead of the pencil. That little lead, which is both, if you see, are sharpened enough. They both can write. There is nothing that one is broken and one is not broken. One is very sharp and one is not that sharp. They both are sharpened and they both can write. But when you looked and picked your pencil, you picked on the basis of the outer surrounding and coverage of it, which is that black part. So if we have to give names to these two areas, the purpose of the pencil, that the part that is fulfilling the purpose of the pencil is the value. And the area that is the packaging, the rubber, the black paint, and all of it, including, can be called as the valuables. Okay. And we select, and we are always choosing everything, including public figures, public image of a person, on the basis of the valuable, because until and unless that person will not start doing something, you will never know what is the value of the person. So it is very difficult to figure it out because you are continuously receiving and selecting on the basis of your preconceived data and conditioning your relatability. So the idea about, let's come to now, in conclusion of all of this, let's come to the idea about what is image. So put the value and the valuables together. Next slide, please. It's about balancing your value and your valuables. Okay, I'll quote a very simple example. There are no brand endorsement over here. I just like this as an example. That's why I'm quoting over here. You all are aware about the brand Apsara pencil, right? And if you take the Apsara pencil, there is this one particular category in Apsara pencil which says Apsara extra dark for good handwriting. And it is written on the pencil. And why is it written on the pencil? Because you know when you pick this pencil, you're going to get extra dark handwriting, and that will make it look good also. What is happening? It's the balance of your value and your valuables. Because people pick on the basis of the valuables. We pick, all of us pick on the basis of what we relate with, which is our valuables. So next slide, please. Image is simply balancing the value and your valuables. Value is what you have with you. Your credentials, your education, your personality, your technical skills, what all you have achieved, your CV. If you have to write down your whole autobiography, that would be your value. But when it comes to valuable, what you are presenting to the world, your presentation, your appearance, your presence, your communication, the way you communicate with people, the way you relate, your intrapersonal and interpersonal relationship is something that comes into your valuables, and people are picking on the basis of the valuable. So what you need to do is ensure, the point of image is to ensure who you are on the inside, what is your value, and represent it on your valuables. Apsara extra dark for good handwriting. So if we keep that simple principle in mind, let's see what does we have to do to create a public image. So now we know it's the balance of the value and the valuable. So public image is simply, Praveenji, next slide, please. Public image is simply a process where you are establishing an identity, where your external image, what I see when I see you visually, externally, represent the person and the character that you are internally. It's the balance of value and the valuables. That is the core, that is the craft, that is the main idea of a successful public image. Because if you are not going to do it, if it is not going to be balanced, that public image is bound to fail. And there are tons of public figures, example, where people are trying to be not something, they're trying to portray something that they are not. And then what happens is eventually it all falls apart. So the most important part is to establish an identity of a public image, or a public figure needs to establish an identity where your external visuals represent who you are internally. Okay, so simply you have to manage two things. Next slide, please. And what are those two things? You have to just manage these two elements. These two elements are the ingredients of the craft of public image. When you have to craft the public image, just the two elements: how you see yourself and how others see you. A beautiful blend of these two elements together, when they are balanced, when nothing is overpowering each other, that you are very nice public image externally, others are seeing you very beautifully, but when I talk to you, there's no personality, there is no character, there's no value that you offer, your public image is bound to fail. And if you are really, really wonderful, you have a lot of value to offer, but you're not presenting it to the world, how will the public come to know that you have so much to offer? So it's about balancing. This is the formula. If I have to say ingredient, form, whatever you want to call it, the simple formula to craft a public image: how others see you and how you see yourself, balance them equally. That gives you a great public image. Now, of course, under these also, there are a lot of subtopics. But before I get into the actual art and craft of it and show you some of my maybe very crucial tools and resources that I use, before that, I would like to talk about three very important factors. This is great. Simple formula: how others see you, how you see yourself. But while you're doing that, there are three factors that you need to consider. If these three factors are out of line, if these three factors are not considered or not taken care of, your public image will still, having the formula right also, it still will fall apart. Because these are ingredients, you still need the recipe, right? So if you have to talk about cooking, I'm taking analogy of cooking right now. So if how others see you and how you see yourself are the ingredients, what is the recipe? And those three things that you need to keep in mind in the recipe to craft a good public image is, next slide, please, Pravinji. Another one, please. Number one, very, very critical: consistency. If your public image, when you are crafting a public image, if it does not have consistency, and when I talk about consistency, close your eyes for a moment. All the students out there who are in the classroom, close your eyes for a moment. You don't have to give me any answers, but think about that one public figure who says something one day, says something else the other day, says something else the other day, and there's zero consistency in what they are going to talk about. And the moment you will close your eyes and think about it, you don't even have to close your eyes at times, there will be a name that will be popping up in your head. There are so many public figures like that. It's very obvious that the moment you think about consistency, the words are meeting the action. Consistency is nothing to do with how frequently you are showing up, that I'm everywhere. It's nothing to do with that I'll go for this thing also, I'll go for all the events also, I'm going to be attending this session, that session, I'm going for my rallies, and I'm going to go for my inaugural events and dialogues, talks, this, that. It's not about that. Consistency means what you believe in, what is the value that you have, you stick to that value and you continuously keep talking about it. That's what consistency means. Being available everywhere, that's constancy. That's like you're constantly everywhere. Consistency is what's your value and sticking to that and repeating the same message over and over and over again. And to have that consistency, something that leads to consistency is, next slide, please, the right intention. If your intention is right, if you have an intent in your mind that this is my purpose, this is the value that I'm going to offer, your intention feeds into consistency. You're trying to understand? Your intention feeds into your consistency. If your intention is, there is no set intention, there is no set purpose, then that is going to always fluctuate. You will not have consistency. And to have the right intention, what feeds into the right intention, next slide please, is a very crucial thing for a public image: 100% authenticity. very difficult to achieve when you're talking about public image, because you have to please a large audience, but there needs to be authenticity. Your authenticity, who you are as a person, what is your value, what is your core, what you can offer to the world, leads into your intention. Intention leads into your consistency. And if any of these three factors or recipe is out of order, that's where the public image would not be formed. So it's a combination of your ingredients. The ingredient is how you see yourself, how others see you. Your recipe is three factors: consistency, or let's say authenticity, which feeds into intention. Intention feeds into consistency. Okay. So now that you know the ingredients and the principle both, I'm going to dive quickly into the formula or the craft. Let's now get into crafting mode and cooking the public image. Next slide, please. Okay. So when we are creating a public image, why it says number one, discover and craft? Because actually, if you talk about creating a public image, is a very big process. There are three stages to it. Number one is discovering, crafting, creating. Number two is expressing. Expressing is where a large part of all of you are sitting over here, what you are learning in your PR, advertising, social media, digital marketing, all of that is all expressing. That is stage number two. We are not even there yet. We are still figuring out who the person is and what is the strategy to basically make this person a public figure. So stage number one is discovering and crafting. Stage number two is expressing. And stage number three is maintaining the image also. So that is why it says today we are only going to concentrate on stage one, which is the discover and craft. Let's go into each one of them, the two ingredients. The stage one, which is discovery and craft, how you see yourself. What are the ingredients of how you see yourself? Next slide, please. The number one ingredient that you have to basically look into when you see yourself is finding your value. Say your value, not in terms of value, in terms of net worth or anything like that. What is your principles, your belief, your value system? What do you believe in? That one word that is your guiding principle, that, North Star, that basically takes you towards a certain direction. If I have to talk about mine, my guiding principle or my value is freedom. Freedom into expression, freedom into learning new things, freedom into doing things, freedom into exploring, venturing out, freedom into not basically being bound or just be settled with what I have, continuously looking for something. Values can be many. Values could be wealth, values could be fun, value could be belonging, value could be creating, value could be dominance, value could be power. What is the value? What drives you? What is your mission? Value could be love, right? There could be so many different things that could be the value. And if you study, one of the maybe a homework that I can give all of you, if this particular topic of creating public image, image consulting, personal branding intrigue you, study couple of select your favorite 4-5 leaders in the past and try to identify what is the value. What is why they did all the things that they did. There will be always that one particular thing chasing. And that chase is because of some particular reason. That reason is the value. So number one thing that you would do, how you see yourself, you work with that public figure to find out their value. Of course, the next one is SWOT analysis. Not everyone is perfect. Not a single, if you expect your public figures and your public leaders to be 100% flawless, not going to happen. And that's what, as a person who's a personal brand strategist, has to keep in mind, that my public figure is going to have flaws and strength, and it needs to be balanced equally. Nobody is going to be perfect. Your job as a personal branding strategist is to basically highlight what are my client's strengths, what is my public figure strength, and minimize or maybe work on the weaknesses on the side, right? Because there is no perfection. And if you're going to try to achieve perfection, that everybody is going to love my leader, not going to happen. So just work on highlighting the strength and minimizing the weaknesses. Understand personality. A few of you must be studying psychology. In that, there's so many different ways to identify a particular personality type. Myers-Briggs method, you can use archetypes, disc analysis. You can use any method that works for you. I'm not recommending any particular method. You decide what method works for you to identify a brand archetype. And finally, the lifestyle. Because if you're creating a public figure, you have to create a public figure around the lifestyle of a person. You can't simply say to a person who comes from a very, very, a very, very good family, something where they are really well to do, and they want to basically cater to the masses, to just abandon everything and suddenly just try to be like the masses, maybe who are not really come from underprivileged background. There will be no consistency. This person will never be able to understand their pain points, their issues, and everything else. So every image that you are going to craft has to be crafted around the lifestyle of the person, right? The tagline "Chai Wala" goes very well around the lifestyle of the person, and that's why it works really well, because it is not something that was unnecessarily created. There are pictures, there are images, and it is something that is very believable. Whereas if you use a certain word for somebody else altogether, then it kind of goes a little bit haywire. These 3-4 things basically combined together gives the value of the person, how you see yourself, the USP, the main core ingredient of the person. Let's move to the other part, how others see you. How do you identify that? Okay, so next slide, please. In the part of to understand who are you going to, previous slide, please, Praveenji. How others see you. The 4 things about how others see you, this is something that you must be very aware about. A public figure has to cater to a certain target audience, and they need to identify the profile of the audience. Who is this person? What does this person eat, drink? What kind of things that they watch? What movies? Where do they go for vacation? What do they like to do in their free time? Right? How do they communicate? What language do they speak? How do they text each other? Every single thing. You need to have a profile of your target audience. Number 2, how others see you. You have to do an image audit. As image consultants and personal brand strategists, we do image audits, which are auditing the person from an image perspective. Then we do public audits, how external, internal, and various stakeholders are basically auditing or recognizing or perceiving the person. Finally, of course, opinions and polls that run on Twitter, on news websites, and different news channels and everything, that you want this as a leader. All of these feeds into how others see you. Once you have this data put together, you take the data of how you see yourself, how others see you. That's where the combination and the craft of how to create a great public figure or a good public figure comes into. So I'm going to just show you a quick formula glimpse of something that maybe a short glimpse of something that we have created and we use as a tool internally to create a public image. Next slide, please. So putting these 2 things together, how does it look like? So when we put these 2 things together, it translates into 4 different categories of the personal brand or public image of a person. Next slide, please. Let's see what are these 4 layers. A public image is basically actually created of 4 things. Right to the very core of it is your core attributes. Who you are as a person, what is the value that you offer? Are you a person who's a social worker? Are you a person who's a musician? Are you a person who's very, very, you talk about sustainability, or you are someone who's very aware about diversity? What is your core attribute? Are you a historian, or you are an author? What is that one core or 3 or 4 core attributes that are true to you? So the 2 things actually go into this particular. Then what are the descriptors? How would you describe this particular core attributes? So you go a little bit further into it. For example, a person who's really about diversity or sustainability, they would be a little bit more careful about, or maybe mingling with people who are from different, groups and different kind of target audience altogether. Then, if you are coming with this core attribute, what industry or segments or sectors you would like to be associated with? And finally, this is target companies. And if you're looking at politicians, this could be target groups or target states or target associations that you can actually map out. So just to quickly give you an example of someone who is a public figure in environment, Okay, so next slide, please, Praveenji. I'm going to give you an example of how we use this. So here is a small example of a person who is who's a little bit more environmental friendly. Their value is that they are environmental conscious. So everything that they do is about taking care of the environment or being a little bit more aware of the environment. And the core attributes revolve around recycling and sustainable development. Right? So their core attribute is environmental consciousness. The descriptors goes into, they want to go into sustainable development, which also aligns them with the United Nations SDG goals and recycling. Then, which are the industry or segments? If they're talking about recycling, obviously they can go into e-waste categories and companies and sectors. And if they're talking about sustainable development, one of the areas could be organic food companies. Now, this particular public figure can associate with Fab India as a brand because they are about sustainable development, organic food is environmental friendly, or they can go to the e-waste company, which is EcoReco, or they could also collaborate with United Nations and become a goodwill ambassador of environmental conscious person. Right? So now you see how we are connecting the internal value of the person with the external and combining how you see yourself, how others see you in a formula. And this is what I have shown you as an example is actually the formula of crafting. When we create this is a short part of it that I have shared from one of the persons that we are working with, but we craft this and we come up with at least 2 or 3 core attributes, which translates into various different examples. So when we are talking about a politician could also be having their own core descriptor. You know, who is this? Are they more to do with women? They are about women empowerment. Then everything, the core attribute is about women empowerment. The descriptors would be in women empowerment, what? Which part of it? You want to talk about hygiene? You want to talk about sanitation? You want to talk about legal rights of women? If that is the thing, then what industry and segments or sectors you can go? So NGOs which are associated with hygiene, sanitation, birthing, or you want to talk about the legal rights and associate with lawyers. And when you are doing your rallies and when you are doing your session, you are talking to a large audience, ensuring in those rallies and those large events, going to events which are related to women empowerment, speaking or giving TEDx speeches, or maybe speaking at sessions or in a big forums or in panel discussions where women empowerment, legal rights are one of the core objective or is the title or a theme. So this is how you create a core idea or what is the idea of creating and crafting a public image. With that, can we have the next slide? If you have any questions, feel free to ask any questions. This is what I had for you. So open to everyone. Thank you.
I would like to urge the students to post their questions in the chat box and ask representatives of their class to do the same.
I think Bhavna, we already have a question.
Yes, we have one question. Okay, should I read that out, ma'am?
Yes, please go ahead.
Given a chance, what would be your advice to Rahul Gandhi to improve his public image? This is from Abhigyan Pandey, IMC Dhenkanal campus.
Thank you, Abhigyan, for asking the question. And first of all, I would not talk about in person about Rahul Gandhi, because one of the things that as a personal brand strategist, what we do is we look at individuals as subject. So, you know, because the moment you put into a person into the category, a lot of your own personal biases or your own preconceived notion. We just talked about conditioning. We all have been conditioned about him in a particular manner for almost a decade now, right? So we have to basically, first of all, as a professional, if I have to talk about me, I would be looking at him as a subject. That's my number one thing that I would do, and then start working with him. A lot of work, first of all, there is, this is maybe not the right because there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And if you see, he is already doing a huge revamping. Okay, so I'm not going to be talking about him specifically, but I would actually show you a couple of trends that we can see in the environment right now and how even him as a subject is riding onto that particular trend. So currently we are in this world which is called VUCA world, right? You know VUCA world. VUCA world is volatile, uncertain, ambiguous, and uncertain, and a little chaotic and ambiguous, right? So this is the 4 words for VUCA. Now, when we talk about a VUCA world, we are looking at leaders. This is a world where you don't know what is going to happen. Everything is so volatile. Everything is so subjective. Things are changing overnight. There are wars happening. There's pandemic happening. If you would see a latest trend into all leaders, everyone is adapting to that particular image of a leader who can adapt to a VUCA world very well, who is reliable, who is more wiser, okay, and who is also someone who can be a little bit aggressive and can take a hard stand when things are needed to be taken. So some of the things that you would see happening around the world with a lot of leaders is that they are showing a little bit more aggressive personality. They're going out of their comfort zone and doing things that they have not done before. They're also revamping their overall appearance to show it a little bit rough and tough, kind of feeding into the whole era of, when men used to have long beards. And in the previous era, we are talking about, 15, 16 and centuries, where grooming was not considered, one of the things. Men, leaders who used to fight wars and battles used to have long beards and unshaved look and used to look rough, tough, and, a little bit scruffy. And that used to show that this person is a warrior, this person can lead, this person is someone. And beards are also seen as, a little bit of wise, that you have come of age, you have completed your puberty, and you have become a man that you are, maybe the salt and pepper hair or the beard. So you will see this as a global trend going on around, not in just one subject that we are talking about, but in all the leaders around the world, which is feeding into the mind that, yes, in the VUCA world, which is so uncertain, I need a leader who can take that charge of, handling the situation if it goes tough, handling the situation when it is very, very, uncertain out there. So, but talking about the subject over here, a lot of work needs to be done, and he's doing. You have seen this in the last, at least in the last 5-6 months, there is a lot of work that has been already been done. And this is all part of the entire image revamp, because he needs to literally shed the old tag and the descriptor, the core descriptor that has been attached on him, and he has to find new descriptor, how others see them. So a huge overall process, and wish him all the best for that. I hope that answered your question. Abhigyan, I hope that answered your question. And meanwhile, we can take the next question. Bhavna ji, if you would like to read it out.
Yes, ma'am. Just 1 second, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, the next question is
Audible now?
yes.
Sir, I think some of my messages got deleted. I think there was a next question from Ruchi Mahajan. Ma'am, if you can, I cannot find those questions again.
I can read.
Okay.
There is a question from Ruchi Sinha from IMC Amravati campus. She asked, how can an individual or organization respond to negative publicity or criticism in a way to mitigate it and maintain a positive public image during crisis?
Great question. Okay, so Ruchi, fantastic question. And if you remember, during the session, we talked about the 3 stages of making a public image and crafting a public image. The first one, which we talked about, was crafting. Second one was expressing. And the third one was maintaining. Maintaining is a task. And that's what you all in IMMC are actually preparing really hard to basically get into the crisis management. One of the things that we do when we are working with crisis management is that we are constantly prepared all the time. Like, we are constantly prepared all the time that there will be crisis. We never ever basically have this particular situation, or never live in this world where we don't believe that there will be a crisis. And a large part of it, as a person working in the background, when we are working as a strategist for a lot of these public figures, we kind of preempt whenever a person go for a particular event, say for example, a large part of it is something that we preempt, as that there could be these kind of questions. There is a chance that this kind of objection could come in. A lot of situation and prepare our leader for it, that there could be this kind of a situation and you need to handle it in this way. So as a person who is working with these public, large responsibility lies on you to basically preempt, pre-think that and prepare the person. Now your question is obviously about that the crisis has already happened. You have prepared it, but still you could not mitigate it. It has already happened. There are multiple stages to it. Of course, that's a whole lot of different session altogether on crisis management. And as I said, that's a stage 3. But in a very quick way that I would like to mention over here is that if a person, first of all, if a public happening and criticism is happening, and you know it in PR, I don't have to tell you, every publicity is a good publicity, right? It's how you tweak it around and how you actually change it and basically, kind of make it work in your favor. That's basically decides that how well you handle the situation. So if the crisis has happened, negative publicity has happened, there is a little bit of a noise that has been created for the person. So it's okay. It's not a bad thing. Now we kind of go through a situation and see how the situation has to be taken. Sometimes the crises are, as Bhavna ma'am was saying, that in social media, or I mentioned that in social media world, things pop up like that and go down like that. So what is trending on Twitter an hour before does not matter an hour later. So if something like that is the concern, doesn't matter. But if it is something that is going on consistently for at least over 24 hours and people are not letting go, then we look into it and we take it serious that, okay, let's see what needs to be done into it. Now, if it was a genuine mistake by a person, the best strategy is to go ahead and apologize and open up your heart and use it as a channel, because people want to hear it from you. Use it as a platform to say what you want to say in the best possible way, because now you'll be attracting all the limelight and everything. So keep the apology very minimum, get over with it. I say, sorry, okay, but why I did that? And let me allow me to explain, and use all that negative spotlight on you to actually propagate your narrative out there into the public. That's what is the strategies which usually we work on. Again, it's a whole different craft. It's a whole, I can go on for 5-6 days of session on how to maintain and do crisis management. But this is something that we usually do, that any publicity is a good publicity. How you tweak it around, how you twist it around, that's where a good PR, that's where a good personal brand strategist comes into a picture. So I hope that answers your question, Ruchi.
Yes, ma'am. I think that does. Ma'am, can we take the next question? It's from Nami.
Sure.
IMC Aizwal. Is public image important for every human being, or only public personalities are needed?
Good question, Amit, actually. So public image is basically when you're talking about a very large audience, very, very large audience, like about being an influencer for some a purpose or a value where you need to basically influence masses. We are talking about Martin Luther King. We are talking about presidents. We are talking about social workers, where their purpose is to basically make not a dent in the universe, but actually revolutionize things and make a world a better place, not in a very small ways, but in a larger impact. So those are public image. But a very important part of your question, image is something that everyone should or has to. It is a very important part of everyone, because even in your and my day-to-day life, people are perceiving you. People decide like why we did the pencil experiment. The pencil experiment was to show you that even in every part of your life, you do on the basis of what you relate with. What is the image that you're portraying? So what did I mention? I mentioned, be it your partner, be it an employee taking an interview of, be it an employer taking an interview of an employee, right? Be it someone looking for a co-founder. Even if you have to simply select your team member, right? You are in college, you have to, people just put two people apart and say, okay, pick your team. team with on the basis of what you relate with, and less if your best friend is someone who does not play very well, you will still pick that because you relate with that person, right? So in our day-to-day life also, image matters, not at the scale that we are discussing it today, but you have to ensure that who you are as a person, your value and your valuables, even as an individuals, are balanced, because everybody needs it. You're constantly perceived on the basis of what you're projecting to the world. So you do not want to be misunderstood or misread and then say, people don't understand me very well and there's always miscommunication. You should be known for who you are, what value you offer. So an image is something that everyone needs it. Everyone needs to be aware and conscious about it. But at the scale that we learned it today, that is only for, of course, public figures. So I hope that answers your question, Namit. But a good question, and work on your image. Everyone should actually be aware and conscious towards their image, what they are portraying. So,
yes. Moving on to the next question, ma'am. As budding journalists, what should be our core attributes for building a public image? The entire session was based on that. This was from Trisha Mahajan, IMC Amravati. But I would like to just brief a little bit on that.
Right. Right. So if you see, if we talk about notable journalist, right? And if you talk about notable journalist, every journalist has a characteristic, a personality. And you know the names better than me, right? Again, close your eyes, think about your top 3 favorite journalists in the world, and you will see that everyone has a very distinct value, very distinct personality altogether, very different thing that they stand for, and their values are very, very separate. Some values are debatable, could be unethical, ethical, this, that, doesn't matter. The point is that everyone is very unique in the stance that they take. As a budding journalist, I would say that it's important to find out what is your core value. What actually got you into the field of journalism? Why you want to be here? What difference you want to make? Which field of journalism, which part of human or this whole society that you are really passionate about, which is something that you relate with and you want to basically use your media that you have in your hand. It's a very, very, strong power that you hold. Which part of the society is something where you want to use your power to kind of take it to the next level, or maybe bring a positive change into it. So a large part of it, again, is from your own value system. Do your own value analysis, do your own SWOT analysis, figure out what you stand for, who you are as a person. And that will give you a good foundation. You will know this is ethical, this is not ethical, this is what I stand for, this is what I'll cover, this is what I'll not cover. It will be a tough process if you'll take a very harsh stance. I would say at the initial stages, it's all right, take it easy. But once you have a little bit of a place and a platform and you have your voice, you have your place, you have your voice, stand for who you are, what you believe in. So that would be my one piece of advice for everyone.
Moving on, ma'am. There is a question from Rima from RTV. How do you decide your clients for image building? Do you have the option to reject proposals from known personalities as a client? If yes, what would be the factors?
Great question. And to be very honest, yesterday I rejected a proposal. So yes, I do pick and choose clients on the basis of a lot of proposals do. As a professional, of course, there is a particular art. We are, when I talk about image management, personal branding, strategy, a large part of audience does not understand what we exactly do. And there is as I said, values and ethos are very important for me. So what I offer as a strategy of what I can actually do for a person, if there's a misalignment in their understanding of what I offer as my value, and they don't understand it, well, in that case, I kind of very politely part ways and maybe recommend them somebody else who could be more aligned with their ethos and their value system. However, it's nothing to do with my personal biases. As I said, I have worked with people from all different parts. I have worked with people who are competitors. I have worked with people from positions, because we see people as subject and not as as a person and have personal vested interests, because that will compromise the work that we do. But yes, the value that you offer, if that is something that people don't understand and they don't respect it, that is my number one factor of kind of refusing to work with them. So yeah, that was the reason even yesterday that I think there was a mismatch of understanding. So I hope that answered your question.
I think so, ma'am. Moving on, we are going back to the pencil again. So there's a question from Atharv, Ad and PR department, and he wants to know which pencil would you have chosen from the slide and why?
Well, my answer is very simple. I don't actually, because I'm teaching this thing, I don't have a particular, because now I'm trained to not look at the valuables anymore. So it doesn't matter to me, whichever pencil is available. I have all kinds. In fact, in my bag right now, I have a bunch of pencils, which are in all shapes and sizes, and some of them are very rugged. Whichever one I get my hand on, I pick it up and use. But yes, at times if I'm going shopping for pencil, as I gave you example of Apsara Extra Dark for good handwriting, that's always on top of my mind, because I know I will get a dark handwriting neat. It will write really well. If I have to sketch something, it will come out very well in colors. So I always go for it. What shape and size is it? And that doesn't matter. So I would have picked anyone. I'm a right-handed person, so whichever is on the right side and closest to my hand, I'll pick that.
That's a nice way to put it, ma'am. Moving on, ma'am, there is another question. I don't think there is a name attached to it, but we can just read out the question. There had been instances where people's image were built up in a bad light initially. However, after coming into the spotlight, when public got to know them better, their image became a positive one and people started liking them. Likewise, also have happened multiple times. What's your point of view on such a public image building?
Absolutely. This is again going back to great example, and again going back to what we just talked about, the balance of your value and your valuables, the balance of how you see yourself and how others see you. If you don't take, so the first example that you gave, the person who has quoted this, that there have been times that people misunderstand and have a bad image to begin with. It's because you did not take control of your image. So if you don't take control of your image, the public will take control and will design it and will craft it and will label it as per what they are seeing and what they are projecting. Once that person got the platform to actually speak up and talk about who they are and what they do, then it became a positive one. So what the very classic example that they did not take charge of their image and they let public decide and label them accordingly. So again, the balance of how you see yourself and how others see you was off. You were letting people decide on letting others how they see you and not actually representing any bits about who you are as a person. And similarly, the other way around, if you have very high regards, you have really good qualities, you have really good, values that you can offer, make a good difference into the society, but you're not talking about it in the world. You're not talking to 5 people about it. You are just in your mind sitting and saying, oh, people, I will be known for my work when people will come to me. That will be one, a slow process. Second, only a very selective people will come to know. So again, the labeling can happen. People can take charge of your image and can label it accordingly. So the idea is that both the things exist. Your public image exists, public perception exists, your own personal opinion about you also exists. You can't let go of any one of them. You have to continuously manage and balance the two together. And if you don't do it, these kind of incidents happen.
Yes, I think that was a question from Naved from RTV. Now, moving on to the next question from Aditya Singh, English Journalism, IMC Jammu. Don't you think that many times people spread fake propaganda to create public image or be popular? Is it good to do so?
So yes, there is the question which I was talking about, ethical and unethical, right? So there are 2 parts to this. I will give you as an answer. As I said, I've worked with all kind of people, and from oppositions and from people from 2 different parties, 2 different competitions, and everything. As a personal brand strategist, my thing is that yes, if they have a value or if they have an agenda, they have a narrative, and they have to submit or showcase it to the world. Obviously we start working on it because that's something that we do. That is our core professionalism. Like, for example, if a doctor starts discriminating on the basis of who they want to work with, they will not be a good doctor, right? Means, okay, I will take only this kind of a patient and this kind of patient I will not touch. So if that is kind of a attitude if a doctor will have, then they are not professionals and that will not be valid. Similarly, in our ways or in our case also, as a professional, we work with a lot of different people. It may or may not match with the ethics or the yes or the good or the bad with how we work, how we feel or how we believe. Sometimes in those cases, if the belief system is not matching, it becomes a big challenge for us also, because we have to remove our own biases and kind of learn and understand what they are trying to say. But yes, as I said, everything exists in the world, right? The good and bad both exist in the world. And everyone believes that whatever is their narrative is the positive narrative. So we are not here to judge exactly. And if that will not exist, then where is the balance? Who will be the protagonist and who will be the antagonist? The whole story is about that only, that there has to be an antagonist for a protagonist to rise. So if there will be no antagonist, obviously there will be no protagonist and nobody to come up with the positive side and good ethics and good policies and be that leader and the hero. So both of them exist. It's not, yes, sometimes it goes over the top and it gets really, I would say, messy or dirty. But yes, that's part of the business and that's how it works. It's how the world exists. So there are two sides of it. As a professional, of course, we can't judge it and we don't bring our personal opinions. But as a person, I believe the good and the bad, light and dark, and of course, the protagonist and the antagonist all exist. At the end of the day, Ramayana is the story of Ram and Ravan, and one has been labeled as the antagonist where he may not be. And a lot of theories say that he was a very nice person also and did a very good job for his own, country and his own people. So who knows? It's both needs to exist for one to shine and one not to. So that's my take on it.
That's a valid point, ma'am. Now, moving on, ma'am, we have a question from Anchal Srivastav, Digital Media IMC Jammu. Are media organizations conscious of their public image? Doesn't it hinder them in practicing true journalism?
They are conscious, of course, 100%. But again, as I said, when it comes to media houses, that's a stage 2, which is expressing. Okay, so stage 1 is crafting and stage 2 is expressing. Media houses are aware about it, but of course, they are only deploying the information that the strategists have given them to deploy. So a large part of it is not exactly in the media house's hand to basically express what they have to, say or not say. Because at the end of the day, the job of the media is to bring out whatever exists as the news, right? So expressing, and these are channels that people use to express. So yes, they are aware, and some of them you would see that a lot of leaders actually take a stance. That's why nowadays, especially now in this particular era, our media houses are very divided and have a very clear stance. Like, it also looks like that they are parties in itself. But there was a particular era when media had just started. It was all like, that whatever news it is, good, bad, ugly, it needs to be put out over there. So expressing, media houses have the role of expressing, and everything should come out. And that's a role that they, fulfill. In what capacity and how they twist the word around, of course, that depends upon media houses too. But they are aware about it, of course. Bhavna ji, you are on mute, I believe.
Okay. Ma'am, we don't have a lot of time. We can just take one more question, I think. So
Sure.
some people make self-deprecating humor, but people usually perceive it as a sign of weaker mentality or insecurity, and they don't respect the person doing that. Why is it like that? And how to manage such criticism? This is from Omkar and Namit IMC as well.
Great question. And as a public figure, don't do it. If you are going to be a public figure, please do not use self-deprecating humor, because, as I said, people are looking up to you as a leader. You are influencing masses. And yes, it is seen as a sign of weaker mentality, because so shows that you have, in the back of your mind, you have somewhere a self-doubt. You have somewhere a little bit of, uncertainty about you. And nobody who likes to see that in a leader. Doesn't mean that you have to be really arrogant and out there and obnoxious and too extravagant in front of people and like me, I am the greatest. Again, it's all about balance, that you talk about yourself, but your words, your deeds, the way that you present and your body language should show that how you are a great leader. You use the words very selectively. You kind of work on your voice and manage the words that you have to use. Think before you speak. Take a little pause. Use selective words that actually stands for who you are as a person. And all ABC, appearance, behavior, communication, is all part of image only. So if you're going to use a communication which is self-sabotage, which is what it is, self-deprecating humor is a self-sabotage. So your communication is absolutely wrong and it should not be done. Only if you're trying to be a stand-up comedian, then it would work and it would get a lot of applause. But as a public figure, a big, big no. And should not be done.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for such a vivid discussion on image building. I'm sure our students must have gained a new perspective in this field, especially. Moving on, I would like to welcome Ms. Manpa Konyak, Academic cum Teaching Associate, RTV Department, IMC, to deliver the vote of thanks for the event.
Thank you.
Konyak, ma'am, if you can take over.
I don't know, my video is not switching on. Sorry.
It's okay, ma'am. You're audible.
Yes, something is wrong with, I don't know. Okay. Thank you, Bhavna ji. Very good afternoon to everyone. Honorable Speaker, Ms. Sonia Dubey Diwan, founder and managing partner of Indian School of Image Management, Mumbai. And respected Sanjay Deviti, DG IAMC, Sri Ashish Goyal, ADG IAMC, Professor Govind Singh, Dean Academic and Course Director, Radio and Television Journalism Department, IAMC, Professor Pramod Kumar HOD, Outreach Activities and Course Director, Urdu Department, all professors, Delhi Campus and Regional Center, my colleagues, and my dear students. It is an honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks and to acknowledge to those who made this enriching session possible. I, on behalf of Indian Institute of Mass Communication, extend my sincere thanks to Ms. Sonia Dubey Diwan ma'am, who spared time from her busy schedule. Today, communication is all about the art of image building and reaching out larger people in a faster mode. As a seasoned professional in the domain of image management, Sonia ma'am has unfolded the mantra of personal branding in this era of digital communication in an unflippable manner through her thoughtful presentation. It touched upon the art of enhancing and maintaining the self-persona of celebrities through social media platforms. Sonia ma'am, your insightful deliberation on the science and craft of image building is enlightening and enriches our knowledge indeed. I'm sure as a budding media professional, our students will ponder upon her advice on the art of public image and build on their own self-image branding. As she pertinently mentioned, you are your most valuable asset. Start investing in it today. With a deep sense of appreciation, I would also express sincere thanks to Professor Sanjay Devidi, DG, Ashish Goyal ji, ADG, Professor Govind Singh, Dean Academic and Course Director, RTV, Professor Pramod Kumar, HOD, Outreach Activities and Course Director, Urdu Department, Dr. Rachna Sharma, Course Director, Digital Media, particularly to Ms. Bhavna Acharya, Assistant Professor, IIMC Tenkanal Campus, for moderating today's program so elegantly. We also would like to thank all the professors, Delhi Campus and Regional Center, IT Department and Social Media team, and my colleagues. Lastly, but not the least, We also would like to appreciate to all my dear students who have participated today's session. Moreover, thanks to the people who have joined through social media pages, Facebook and YouTube Live. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Konak ma'am. Sonia ji has also provided us with her Instagram handle, and I think we all can follow her there. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the session.
Thank you so much for a wonderful opportunity. And yes, I'm on Instagram and also on LinkedIn. I think only Instagram link has been shared. But great questions, and I had a really, really great time interacting with all of you. And once again, big thanks and gratitude to all the faculties for such a wonderful moderation and coordination and support, and also to Professor Sanjay Dwivedi ji. It was a pleasure. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.